Okay, let me put it here. So it's recording. So thank you for your time and for talking to me. I think we had a great conversation in that debate with Micah. I was curious to kind of get to know you better. And I mean, for those who haven't heard about you and about your work, can you give us like a brief introduction?
Okay, first of all, thank you for inviting me for this conversation. I'm very happy to share my practice with you. I think I started to introduce myself from how I started to get into the arts practices, because when I was graduated from college, I first entered a global company. It's a company for makeup, skincare.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah. So actually, I've been working marketing function for 5 years. So. Sorry, I have to stop a little bit because my cats jump on my desks. I have to get them out of the room. Sorry. 来，你们可以出来吗？出去啊，下去啊，出去啊，快出去！来，你也出去啊，走了。
I understand Chinese. When you say chu 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 means to go, isn't it?
Okay, sorry.
I understand Chinese. When you say chu 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 chu, that means to go.
Yeah.
Chu 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 chu.
You understand some Chinese?
Yeah, I do.
Great. Okay. So I think that 5 years of working in such like international company allowed me to learn about how this kind of global trade and like commercial organizations is running under this capitalist system. So that's why after that, a lot of my practice is on the critical side of the capitalism and the mindset of people under this ideology and under this production system. So that's a very important starting point.
Sure, yeah. Sure.
Mm-hmm. Then, yeah, after that, I stopped and spent 1.5 years in art management for my master in Paris. Then after I went back to China and started my career as a curator. Right. So that's a very simple like start.
Right.
Yeah, then that was in 2015. So then at the first 2 years, I organized several solo shows for artists. Then in 2017, I think the second year of my art career, I curated my first group show called Precariats Meeting. So this exhibition is mainly talking about the precarious workers and as artists, and artists as precarious workers. So in this exhibition, we also invited a lot of like artists from East Europe and Middle East Asia, and of course Chinese artists, and also from South America. So this is also something that is not so into the West culture. Then after I curated 2 solo shows with 2 very important artists. First is Ho Nian. He's a very important artist now, I think, and also very important in Southeast Asia.
How is it spelled? Is
art.
Ho?
Ho Nian. Ho T Z Z U N Y E N. Ho Nian.
Ho Nian. Okay.
This is also it was also his first solo show in China, and also I think it's his first museum exhibition out of Singapore too. In this exhibition, he talked about the history of Southeast Asia, also some relationship between a figure that he created, like a spy that connects China and Southeast Asia. And also during this time of communist revolution. And then I curated the solo show of Thomas Hirschhorn, and it is also his first solo show in China, called sorry, I cannot remember. I cannot remember exactly the English title.
So that's the Swiss artist. Big installation with recycled materials and very like socialist kind of.
Yes. So yeah, so basically we produced everything in China with him, and he and he created totally a ruin inside the museum, but this exhibition caused a lot of debate inside the museum. It caused also some kind of like internal censorship from my understanding and from the artist's understanding, because the aesthetic of the exhibition cannot be acceptable by the museum owner, because the previous museum I worked is a private one. So we found it's very difficult to work with that museum. So after that, I changed my work in another museum in Shanghai, which is the current one called Haig Aivazian. So after I joined Haig Aivazian, I curated 2 group shows. One is Interrupted Meals that I introduced to you last time.
Yeah.
Then the other is the current one called Noir Lumière. So English translation is Dark Light. Yeah, so it is on view from November 15th, so it's just opened. And also with one solo show of Chinese artist called Binyuan. So he is a very important but not old. He's a young artist in performance art, very important artist in China.
Can you spell that to me? It's Li?
Libinyuan.
Yuan, right? Okay.
Yeah, Li Binyuan. Yeah, I think he had a show with another Chinese artist, also performance artist called Zhang Huan.
Right.
They had a show in MoMA some year before.
Okay. Interesting. So when you said when you did that Precarious meeting, which was like your apparently one of your first projects, isn't it? Did you have the same? Because I know a little bit about like Thomas Hirschhorn, and he goes a lot about precariousness, and it's kind of a strategy to connect with people because it's a way of having like an artisanal way of life against the industrial. And so, what was your understanding of precariousness was the same as Hirschhorn in that project?
Yeah, I think as for me, I understand precariousness from two parts. One is the existence of people. So I think this is the core thing of that exhibition, because the existence is precarious. So that's why we choose this those works and those artists. And this also links to their choose of their materials and their way of the presentation of their works. So I also had some exchange with Thomas too. He also mentioned that why he chose cardboard and things like that as his material, because these materials are cheap, these materials are precarious. So he would like to insist that he want to use the materials that everyone can afford, everyone can do with.
It breaks the hierarchy, isn't it?
Yeah. So for me, it is also very important to aware this. Like you have just mentioned, to break the hierarchy of art, like for everyone can do it.
Yeah. You said that's this beginning of your like professional life, working for doing marketing for this global makeup company, and was kind of one of the components of your identity as a curator, isn't it? You saw things that you were very critical about, so you thought, well, let me somehow like react to this in the cultural sector. And what are the other things that influenced your identity as a curator? How do you keep that up to date?
Yeah, I think the other thing is the technology part, of course, because I was born in 1985. So at the 80s and early 90s in China, we still like in a way of living in a how to say. Generally speaking, our life is without like computers, even without TV. But after like 10 years or just some years after, like everyone has his or her own like computer, like cell phone, everything. So this happened too fast, and people have to react on it. And sometimes people just haven't realized anything, but already like immersed in this hyper reality that brought by the technology. So that's why just now I forgot to mention another group show I curated last year in Howard Museum called Serious Games. Yeah. So this exhibition is talking about the video games and the operational images. So yeah, this is also, I think, a very important part in my own practice. But I have to mention that the objective of curating exhibitions about technology is not to present how the technology is so strong and so fancy, but from a critical perspective, to really discuss about how it influenced to the individuals and the power relation between the capital and between the technology and between our individual and our individual life. So that is a very important thing.
Yeah. Interesting. And so there was this strong period of technology, like was one of the things that influenced you and that was important to you. And as like a general question, when you see like you go to a biennial, you go to an art fair and you see an exhibition, you see an artwork, and what do you ask yourself when you're seeing an artwork? Like what are your own thoughts?
Yeah. I think I can share with you my experiences of my very shocking experiences of seeing like 2 exhibitions. Like I can recall what I asked myself at that time. First one is an exhibition of Joseph Beuys in Berlin several years ago, but that exhibition shows the drawings of Joseph Beuys that I hadn't seen before. So I feel very shocking, and at that moment I saw the drawings of Joseph Beuys, because from the drawings I kind of realized how he was thinking when he creates his installations and his performance. But he mentioned nothing on his drawings, but from the drawings you can see how he sees things and how he reflects in his mind kind of the past, the thinking path that he showed in his drawings instead of in his like huge installations. So this is something that interests me, that maybe it's a way that for us to understand an artist not only from his main works, but also from the works that maybe he's hiding in his studio or in his like notebook or something, for us to understand more, maybe discover more deeply about how he's thinking. Another show is the solo show of Thomas Hirschhorn in Palais Tokyo. Yeah. It was also several years ago, because at that moment I didn't know who is Thomas Hirschhorn, and I visited Palais Tokyo several times before, and it appears to me a very elitistic institution in a very elitistic quartier in Paris. So I saw the previous one before Thomas' show. It is also a very sophisticated exhibition. Then after several weeks, when I entered Palais Tokyo again, I found it's totally different. It's like you don't know where it is. Like this place was not supposed to be here in this very expensive zone in Paris. So I was shocked, and I saw people were like exchange with each other, and they were discussing something, and some people are singing, some people like doing nothing but lingering around. So this totally changed my mind of how an exhibition should be at that moment, I mean. So I think this is also a very important thing, that for an artist to dare to do something that is challenging. I mean, not only challenging himself, but also challenging to the space, to audience. So I think to dare to do something for artists is also interesting and yeah, sometimes even provoking. Yeah, it is also.
So you're saying that when you saw Hirschhorn exhibition and you saw the one after, that made you realize the role of the exhibition in context of the neighborhood and the society it's in. Is that what you're saying?
No, I mean, I saw another exhibition before his show.
Right,
so
before
it was, it was like Beautiful One.
Yeah.
Then after he totally changed the space.
Yeah.
So I think it's also very different from what the space used to do before. So I think he challenged somehow the space and the institution and everything. So luckily, after several years, when I was working with him for his show in Shanghai, I really found it very challenging, like somehow provoking thing to do it in a museum, in an institution, because it totally changed the way of the production system inside the museum. As we all know that I think every museum, every institution have their like systems, like hierarchy, like their rules. So I think for artists and curators, we also have to work with it, but we also have to challenge a little bit with it. Yeah, so it's I think it's important.
Right. So Hirschhorn, he understands the systems, the hierarchy, and he figures out a way of pushing the limits.
Yeah.
Interesting. Let me see. And what are you, just to understand more about your thinking? Well, what are you reading at the moment, and what are the authors that inspire you?
And at this moment, I didn't read anything because I just finished the last exhibition, so I just
too busy.
But just I mean, before the exhibition, when I was preparing the current show, I read a lot of Maurice Blanchot, and I read also a lot of like fictions of a Chinese artist who participated in the show, because I was kind of trying to explore some of his past works. So yeah, this artist, I think you should know. His name is Jiang Zhi. So he is called the artist who can write the best fictions in China. So,
oh, really?
Yeah. He is also an important artist who participated in the arts movement in the late 90s too. So he had a lot of practice in literature, and also he. I mean, his media is mainly video and photography, but he likes to write fictions. And
what are his fictions about?
In this exhibition, he showed an exhibition called The Black Thing. So it is a short fiction, and he described a female writer when she was writing a very black novel, that at the same time a black thing appeared in her room. So the black thing is growing bigger and bigger. Then after she can touch it, then finally the black thing entered his body, on his feet, on her foot. So yeah, it's yeah, like I think it's a very interesting fiction, especially in my exhibition, the Noir Lumière. So it's the black light.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah. So I'm reading. I was reading his fictions because he also sent me some other fictions that he wrote during the past years. Yeah. Yeah, because recently, I think from the recent 2 years, I started to read the literature again, to read the fictions again. I mean, because my major was French literature in college, but after that, I got more into the theories and philosophy. But just the recent 2 years, I found my interest again in the literature and yeah, in the fictions.
Great, amazing. Do you want to show us a few works and maybe something of Blacklight or Interrupted Meals, and I don't know, choose a few?
Yeah, of course. Let me check. I'm sorry, I think the materials are very limited in my personal laptop, so I'm trying to find something. Okay, so you're mostly interested in Chinese artists, right?
I'm interested in your projects and
okay.
yeah.
Yeah. So maybe I show you first.
Some that you think are challenging, as you put it, or some that represents your interests. And yeah, I think Chinese artists is more like, but in general, I think Chinese artists I know less. It would be interesting to see.
Okay. Okay, maybe I show you something, some photos of the Precariats meeting first.
Yep.
Okay. All right. So, can you see that?
Yeah, yeah. With the writings on the stairs.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so this is Precarious meeting. One work from the artist group called Social Sensibility Department. Actually, it is a very interesting group. It was funded by an Italian artist. His name is Alessandro Rolandi. So when he was working in a factory in Beijing, it was a French factory based in Beijing. He found that when he was working with the workers, that the workers have strong willing to create artworks. So he organized this department inside the factory. So it is department that every worker can join and making their own artworks.
You know what the factory was? What did they produce?
They produce, yes, let me check the English word. They produce the air pumps.
Oh, wow.
Air pumps, yeah.
So he found out these workers that were producing air pumps had a desire to do artworks.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. So this department still exists now, and they made a lot of performances during the past years, and they also made a lot of other artworks such as installations and the video works. So from Alexandro, once he shared with me that the workers, when we heard that workers making artworks, people, how to say, people expect that they are doing the artwork of workers. So talking about their work and their conflicts in the factory, but he doesn't want the participants of the department to do things like that. He encouraged the people to do what they really think is an artwork. So it was very interesting for me to find out that some of the workers, they did some works that is, how to say, is very beautiful. It's very, you cannot imagine that she or he do this work, because in China, a lot of workers, they don't really how to say, well educated, or they most of them are also from the countryside, but you see that they're also living in a very hybrid culture, because they living now in Beijing, so it is already a gap from their hometown to Beijing or Shanghai. This such like big cities. And also this factory also have a branch in Paris. So they also exchange sometimes with the workers in Paris. So it is, yeah, I think it's very important practice today.
Yeah, Liaoliao, how did you, do you know how was the creative process to get to this? Because to get workers who want to express something, one thing is expression, the other thing is like great art. And so certainly they had this desire to express themselves. Now, what we are seeing there is quite an interesting like piece of art. So how do you go from having a group of people who don't necessarily know much about art, but they have the desire to express, to having a piece that's quite interesting for like people like us who are professionals in the art world?
Yeah, just now I'm checking another word, because I want to first of all introduce a bit the context of the factories and companies in China. As you know, in many countries, in the companies, there we have the workers' union, the labor union, but in China it is like a fake union, so it is not actually the labor union for the workers. So but however, I think everyone has to find a way to express themselves. So after this department is established, so people, so the workers are kind of consider this department, on one hand, is a place to create art. On the other hand, they consider it as their like workers' union. So sometimes they talked about the things, the conflicts in their works, and hope to resolve these problems from this department. So it is linked very closely with their life and work. So I think that the practice of art also links together with this.
So let me see if I'm understanding it. And so they have this kind of workers' unions inside the companies. They don't really have a function.
No.
And, so they're like their mock-up. So that's what. So when they go to these meetings, they have like empty times, or it's not really an effective meeting. So they end up like talking about their lives, about the situations, and doing artworks.
Yeah.
That's very curious, isn't it? So so every company that has like a workers' union inside it, or meetings, etc., becomes a creative production, potentially.
Yeah. And just as you mentioned, they come to create something or come to this department affairs when they have time during their work. But it is also a very challenging thing for Alexandra and the workers to argue for the artists to have this kind of empty time, because usually in many factories they don't have any like empty time. Sure. So so at the very beginning it is not so easy to
Right.
encourage everyone to participate, because some people are shy and some don't know what it means. So Alexandro spends 3 months in the company to live and work and talk with the workers. Then after they started to talk with him, then he introduced his works and his practice in arts. Then they just started like little by little.
Right. So he was probably like hearing their thoughts and their ideas, their concerns, and maybe asking them to take notes. And but it's interesting, his vision, that there was a lot of suppressed expression and material there that could become this departure, isn't it? Materialized in an artwork. And cool, amazing, very interesting. And
and why the presence of the workers is important in Precariats meeting is also linked to the venue, the exhibition space too, because you see here the exhibition space was a note factory in Shanghai from the 1950s. So it was also, so it was it's called a paper machine factory. So it was was in the communist time. So at that time, everyone works and lives in the factory. So factory means an independent world. So you, for some of the people who grown up in the factory, maybe he was born here and he died here, he worked here, he do everything here. So it is like totally different from what we imagine the factory is today. And at that time, workers, they have like higher social like awareness than today. So it is, so that's why it is important to introduce the workers again to come back to factory to occupy the space like this. So so that is something important to know.
So he's like getting a generation of workers to voice the thoughts and to express themselves, and then you put it back into a context of the previous generation.
So okay. So this is one work from Precariats meeting. So here I'll show you the other works of the show. So here you can see some of the other works of the show. So in this show, we also talked about some ideology parts, like how Yugoslavia changed from communism to capitalism, because now we basically cannot be allowed to talk about how China had this kind of similar transformation. So we took like Yugoslavia as an example. Right. So I can share with you this document later. So basically, this
And so this is like the press release of the exhibition.
It is apart from the exhibition book.
Okay. Do you have pictures of this exhibition or?
Yes, but I'm trying to find that. So
if you have them.
Sorry, I don't know how to close that. Okay. Yeah, because I didn't know that I will I will share the materials with you today,
Okay.
so I didn't well
Sorry.
prepare.
Well, if it's easy.
Photos. Wait. Maybe I can find something on my cell phone and show you.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Or we can move to another project, and maybe you can talk a bit more about interrupted meals or any other.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I just found a PPT that I did last time for a talk, so maybe it's good to.
In a way, you were kind of self-taught, aren't you? Because you made art management.
Yes.
You studied art management. You studied French literature, and prior to your marketing job, I guess you studied marketing or you studied management. And
yeah.
How did you connect to this kind of to contemporary art in a way to be able to do like these great works? Because usually when I see people who studied, I don't know, art, management and literature, they can't get to these amazing exhibitions you're showing. So how was your tuning with the aesthetics of contemporary art?
Yeah, I think for me it's like a very natural thing that I just during my working life I encountered some great artists and their works. I mean, I'm very lucky. The first two solo shows I saw in Paris was Joseph Beuys and Thomas Hirschhorn. So yeah, I think it was a very good education for me. I just found that we have they did something that I once imagined, but I don't know how to present. But when someone showed it as an example to you, so I think it's a very good like introduction for me to understand what is art I would like to do. So then after, so I started to like read something and do something.
Yeah, interesting, because you not only saw, but you took that very deeply, isn't it? It's like it was it was a very meaningful experience, that because we can see like 100 shows and not really bring anything to heart or to our identity, and to so you experienced it in a very profound way, and interesting.
So the photos, you can see the screen?
I can. So that's what another Precariat work.
Yeah. So this is outside the museum.
Right.
Outside the museum on the road. So you see here the workers, they just worked on the other end of the street. So every day they passed here to go to their canteen to eat something. So at the very beginning, when they passed by this kind of works, they don't know what it is. But after several days, they started to get inside, and sometimes they take a break here. So this is these installations means to be. So for everyone, if they feel tired, they feel want to sit down, they can get inside and do whatever. So yeah, this is.
So you're working on what? On the curiosity of what that installation was, you're working on creating a space for them to rest. What is your intention with that installation and guerrilla living syndrome? I see.
Yes. Yeah. So this is the objective of this installation. So for everyone can live inside, can talk inside, it is I think it is however, in the context of Shanghai, this is a little bit like provocation, because sometimes we cannot speak very loud freely on the street. Yeah, so it is this work outside of the museum is to invite people to come and do things freely.
Yeah, so you
it's also
wow.
Inside. Yeah, well, so this actually, okay, this installation. So when you get inside, there are like beds.
Okay, so you can have a siesta and you can sleep there.
Yeah.
And who is the artist there?
The artist is called Ma Yongfeng. So it's him. So right, he's now living in Berlin. Okay. Yeah.
So he's creating a departure.
Yeah. This is another work.
Amazing.
Called Set to Content. So this is a project by a group of artists. You can see it here.
And it's outside the museum, isn't it?
Yeah. Outside the museum, it's a container, and
as you say, it challenged the institution because you were bringing the opportunity to do something off, like to express yourself, or to go off track of the day-to-day outside of the institution. And what was it in the inside? Like when the museum said, let's do this exhibition, and they offered the exhibition space, you didn't do anything inside, you only did outside?
Inside, yes. Inside you see the stairs. It's the same exhibition. And here is the work by Chinese artist Zheng Bo. So he was the same artist that I introduced last time to copy the book of the wild grass.
Right.
Yeah. So at this exhibition, he gets used of the old elevators of this factory, which is the museum now. So he grows some wild grass inside the elevator to make it be seen and be used now, because before this work, the elevator just empty and no one use it. So he grow the grass inside, and also he make this so he invited people to write their letters to the grass. Then he put it inside the museum, inside his work, inside the elevator, and people can read the letter
to the grass.
Yeah. Then the sound will be downstairs to here.
Okay. So you
So the elevator is basically upstairs.
Wow. So what you're reading in the elevator, gets the sound goes to the group of people.
Downstairs.
And remind me, this grass, is it like any plant, and it's about the connection with nature, or is a plant with any specific history or meaning for you?
No, it's just the wild grass around the museum. So around the museum, 1 kilometer around the museum. So he invite people to.
So what he's saying is like removing the boundaries between the constructed area and the non-constructed area. Is that one of the ideas? And
Yeah.
Amazing.
And so this is one work of Haig Aivazian. So he's an artist from Beirut, from Lebanon. So this work is an installation. He made a lot of installation about the spotlights in the stadium, that sportive stadium. So he made some researches like about the lightings inside this kind of public spaces. So yeah, he also made like lecture performance.
It's a lecture performance. How can you tell me more about it?
Yeah. So this work, now you can read the text.
Yeah. Interesting gaze of floor, capture machine, structure around the 3 explosions that occur in this state of November. The narrative of this lecture takes on the history and futures of surveillance technology and the so-called sub-orchestra, with particular focus on increasing difficulty in nutrition. Okay, so it's like a critical. And what's the name of the artist then?
His name is Haig Aivazian. You can see here.
Okay, Haig Aivazian. And this is all part of Precariat.
Yeah. Okay, here is the.
It's quite a large.
Yeah, it's an installation by Abraham Cruz Velgas. He's an artist from Mexico. Yeah. So this installation is talking about the water of the lake, a big lake of his city. That the water of the lake is like going down for several meters during the past years. So he did this installation with the found objects.
Under the water.
Yeah, it's the objects that the fishermen they use.
Okay.
Okay. Then I'm going to maybe. Oh, I think it's already 1 hour. Yeah.
However, for time, can you show us a bit more of the interrupted meals again before we?
Okay.
Or is there anything else you want to show? I can go a little bit longer if you can.
Okay. I'll show you on my cell phone maybe. Okay. All right, so let me just, I'm not sure if you can see it clearly. I thought it's, maybe it's, maybe it's difficult to see.
Yeah, I can see well, yeah. So this is
the interrupted meals.
Right.
Yeah, it is, I'm trying to find if I have some photos in my computer. So the interrupted meals is happens in the third floor of the museum, which is only like 500 square meters. So it's not a big show, but we're trying to. Oh yeah, I found some photos. Yeah, so we are trying to present like more intensive contents within this only 500 meters square meters space. I'll show you one work. Okay. Okay. This work is from Singapore artist Charles Lim. So in this work, it is actually his long-term project called the Sea State. So in this project, he did a research about the sea in Singapore. I choose some part of the whole project that discussing about the ground instead of the sea, because Singapore government asked people to transport the sand from other countries to Singapore to put inside the sea to make the land bigger. So basically, Charles made a lot of video works talking about the how sand and was put into the sea become the land. So as he understood, it is also one possibility of sea state.
Wonderful. Liao, there is a, okay. Oh, so it's the difference.
Yeah, it's the different side of the work. Okay.
So is what is it on the, oh wow, okay.
This is an Indonesian artist.
At the same exhibition about the sea.
The same exhibition, yeah. Because the exhibition is try to connect the food and the nature. So that's why there are works that connects directly, that discuss directly about the food and cooking. And the other part is about the environment.
Is that part of the interrupted meals? Is that the same?
Yes. And also there's sorry, this is the setup view. This is the artist, a Japanese artist, Yushiro Tamura. So his work is called social cooking. So this work, in this work, he have two video works that presents on the screens, and also a refrigerator, and inside there's a fish. So he created like a court to trail the fish.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay.
It's an amazing exhibition. Was there any like online catalog or something that was produced that I could maybe download and learn more?
Yeah, we have an exhibition book. I also can send you after.
Oh, wonderful. Yeah, that's
yeah.
I'd love to learn more about these works.
Yeah, I think I have no more photos in my computer about this show. Yeah.
Wonderful. Liaoliao, it's some people's, they see artists and curators, and since when we work with artists somehow as visionary people, they're somehow like anticipating something that's going to, I don't know, but what's going to happen in the future. And like if you look historically, often like artists are talking about things that happen afterwards. And that's like a general question for you. And what do you think we're going through this pandemic now? And what do you think art can teach us about this post-pandemic world? Are we going to be, I don't know, more critical about this kind of global supply chains, as you were saying, kind of giving an example with food, like if you can just share a bit your thoughts on what we are seeing in art that perhaps will be part of this post-pandemic world.
Yeah, I think the pandemic is, of course, a big challenge for everyone, for human beings even, I think. And for art worlds, I think it's our responsibility to do something through art, to make people realize that we don't have to fear about to be together or to do something. I mean, of course, we have to protect ourselves well, but now I found that there is a fear that's around us. Like there is a fear to do exhibitions. There is a fear to be together, to connect with each other. And this is dangerous for me, from my point of view, because if we have fear, that we are very easy to be conquered, you know. So it's very important to do something by ourselves, to continue to do something by ourselves, whatever it's online, it's offline, and to still making voice about art. Because I heard that that in Europe, many cities closed the galleries and museums, so people don't have place to see art or to do art. Then it's very dangerous, because then people will fund, without art we can live. But I think it's necessary for me that you have art, you have literature, you have that things beyond the life that fulfilled with consummation or whatever things. So it is important to insist to make voice about art. So this is very challenging thing for us, I think.
So in China, you continue like making art and doing exhibitions and just with the kind of health procedures and.
Yeah. In China, I think now the situation is better than in Europe or in other places, but I think people paid a lot to get this situation, because if you want to get like stable situation, you have to limit yourself. You have to give some freedom in order to get the stable thing. So yeah, it's very difficult to like get balance all this. And I think in China, we are facing another challenge, is that you know, now everything is we just the past weeks we there was the art fair in Shanghai, so we saw that there's still exhibitions in the gallery, still exhibitions in the museum, and in the art fair also, but there's less shows in the independent space. Right. So I think independent thing is disappearing. So I think it is, yeah, it is something dangerous in Shanghai, in China, the situation. So you find that it's not easy for, it's not difficult to do exhibitions if you have money, if you have the capital. So, but how can we keep the independent thing still happen? It is challenging, and it is, yeah, now more difficult than before.
Interesting. Yeah, it is a challenge. Great. Okay. Well, it was great to hear from you and your experience, your journey, and your projects. And thank you for sharing very generously, and keep us posted if you have a mailing or something of your next projects. It would be great to.
Mm-hmm. Okay, of course. But I think next time I forgot to ask your experience of your like work. So maybe today
the other way around.
Yeah, maybe next time you introduce your experience to me too.
Sure, we'll do it. Yeah. We'll have another session. So it's more equal, isn't it?
Yeah. Okay. So I will send you the exhibition books, the PDF,
I would love
tomorrow when I get back to office.
Yeah.
And yeah. So yeah. If you wish, you can also give me some feedback or your comments. That would be very helpful.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much again.
Okay.
I look forward to
reading
the book and keeping in touch.
All right. Thank you. Thank
All
you.
the best. Bye-bye.
Okay.